but we got Cath up for a whole 5 minutes talking about class.
Yeah, we thought we'd start off the evening with a nice light-hearted subject of class discrimination. Yeah, why is class everyone's least favourite representative and diversity category? I've noticed with a lot of diversity issues, for example, sexism, racism, there's a slow, gradual increase of acceptance and rights. With class, it tends to go... When things are trendy, it goes up and down. When things are trendy, and then it falls off again. So there's never any real sustained attempt at, equality from working classes. I was at a writing retreat a few weeks ago in North Wales, and I had to save up for it because it was quite dear. Everyone else on the writing retreat was absolutely minted. And after a couple of hours, I've just started to feel quite uncomfortable. And they started talking about, oh yes, when I was in Singapore. And it was the first time in a very long time that I felt not included. And even though I'm doing all right for myself, I felt inferior in some way. We all know that Oasis have reformed. Who hasn't heard of Oasis have reformed? And since they've come back, there's been a lot of references to Oasis being the working class voice, as if there's some sort of authentic working class voice, when in fact Liam Gallagher spent a lot of the 1990s insisting that he'd never read a book. Here we can see the way that the media covers social mobility. It goes up, down, and it's currently on a downward slope. The way the different classes are valued is shown here. That's lovely Sophie Ellis Baxter with her 5 children. She's very middle class, very posh. If a woman up my road had 5 kids, there'd be absolute murder, I think. There's a social mobility penalty. If you come from a working class background and you move into the professionals, then you're still going to be earning less than someone who comes from, a professional background, which is something that is absolutely fascinating. This statement is always rolled out every GCSE results, and it's not true. If you're middle class, you're absolutely fine. It doesn't matter what your results are. If you're working class, then you're going to struggle more. This is from the general election in 2019. It was a poster that was posted near my house in Birkenhead, and I was thinking, yeah, who does hate the working class more? I don't think the Tories put that up, and that's something that's profoundly depressing. This lad won the lottery 20 years ago, and he spent it all on booze and women and holidays, and he was very much held up as like the enemy. The working classes are very feckless, they can't manage money. This is the opposite end of the spectrum, where working class men totally disrespected for getting themselves fit, earning a profession. A lot of times professional footballers are held up as in one icons. The other end is like they're not respected at all. Angie Rayner, who's come from a very underprivileged background and has done so well for herself, was like ripped to pieces in the press for having a night out in Ibiza with a glass of water in her hand. The rioting in Spello Library was very much discussed in the media. It was the result of deprived area, but also there was an undercurrent of racism there. But we must remember that racism is not just a working class pursuit. It goes through all the different classes. It's just the different classes find different ways of expressing it. And there's Meghan Markle, who's a victim of racism, in my view. Okay, so Keir Starmer insisted his father was a toolmaker all the way through the election campaign. I know a lot of people mocked about it, but what my view is that if you've got a disadvantage in your background, why shouldn't you use it as an advantage later on? Rich people, they have the old school tie, they have connections, and they use that. And that's something that wasn't really thought about when Keir was going about being a toolmaker. This is a common meme. Birkenhead is always being slagged off and mocked for being a working class town. I think the class system stays the way it is. Fear of change. And that goes through all the classes. I think working class people sometimes can feel reluctant to move from their safety, and obviously rich people want to keep hold of their money, don't they? And I think ultimately when it comes to social mobility, it's a case of if you can see it, you can be it, and also being seen is important as well. Thank you.
She came from Greece. She had a thirst for